Hello and welcome, my friends. Let me ask you this. What is time, really? Is it just seconds and minutes, or is it something we create? Today, we dive into the story of Elara, the mysterious clockmaker, and the village of Oakhaven, a place that resisted clocks until she arrived with a giant timepiece that had no hands, only beautifully carved moments. What is the secret behind a clock that measures moments lived, not minutes spent? Let's unlock the clockmaker's secret. The village of Oakhaven was nestled deep in a valley, so remote that the rest of the world often forgot it existed. Life there moved at the pace of the seasons, slow, predictable, and comforting. Yet, Oakhaven was famous for one thing: it had no clocks. None in the homes, none in the schoolhouse, and most notably, no towering steeple clock in the central square. This was because, 2 centuries ago, the village patriarch, a stern man named Silas, had decreed that true time was felt in the rhythm of the heart and the arc of the sun, not measured by ticking gears. Then, Alara arrived. Alara was not from Oakhaven. She was a woman in her early 20s with bright, curious eyes, skin dusted with chimney soot, and an air of quiet determination. She purchased the crumbling, abandoned mill on the edge of the woods. The villagers, used to their placid routine, watched her with cautious interest. They soon learned Alara was a horologist, a clockmaker. One cold afternoon, she wheeled a massive, shrouded object into the center of the square, where the village well stood. When she unveiled it, a collective gasp went through the few onlookers. It was a clock, but unlike any they had imagined. It was nearly 10 feet tall, crafted from dark, polished oak and brass that gleamed like spun gold. But it had no hands. Instead of numbers, the clock face held 12 intricately carved vignettes: a blooming flower, a child's laughter, a shared meal, a comforting fire, a migrating bird, a falling leaf, and so on, each depicting a moment of pure, felt experience. The villagers were baffled. "How do you tell the time, child?" asked Old Man Hemlock, the closest thing Oakhaven had to a historian. Alara smiled, a genuinely warm, knowing smile. "You don't tell the time, sir," she said softly. "The clock shows the time. And it only starts when Oakhaven is ready." She spent the next few days not working on the clock itself, but helping the villagers. She mended Widow Maeve's leaky roof, she taught the children a new, lively dance, she helped the farmers clear a thorny patch of land, and she baked a spectacular communal bread, sharing the last piece with the tired townspeople. Every deed was done with focus and a profound sense of purpose. On the third night, as the village square glowed under a clear, starry sky, Alara took a small silver key and wound the mechanism deep inside the giant clock. There was a gentle, resonant thunk, and a soft, rhythmic whirring began. The clock face remained still for a few minutes. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the first vignette, the blooming flower, began to glow with a faint inner light. "It is flower time," whispered a little boy. "No," Alara corrected, her voice carrying clearly. "It is the time of new beginnings. This clock doesn't measure the minutes you've spent, it measures the moments you've lived." One vignette completes its cycle when the village has achieved a feeling, a quality of time. The villagers watched, utterly mesmerized. In the weeks that followed, the clock became the heartbeat of Oakhaven. When the villagers were focused on their harvest, working together and sharing their labor, the shared meal vignette would glow, signaling a time of community and sustenance. When a storm raged and families huddled by the fire, telling stories and sharing warmth, the comforting fire vignette would shine, marking a time of security and connection. When the children were free to run and play in the meadows without worry, the child's laughter vignette would sparkle, signifying joy and innocence. If the village fell into a petty quarrel or a period of wasteful inactivity, the clock would noticeably slow. The current vignette would dim, and a gentle, mournful tick was the only sound, urging them to find their way back to a moment worth living. One day, Alara packed her bags. The clock was fully working, its 12 vignettes cycling harmoniously, each phase lasting not a fixed 60 minutes, but exactly as long as the communal feeling persisted. "You are leaving?" asked Old Man Hemlock, genuinely saddened. "My work is done," Alara replied. "The people of Oakhaven no longer need a reminder of what truly matters. You have learned that time is not a chain of uniform seconds, but a treasury of unique moments." "But, what if the clock stops?" the little boy asked, clutching a small, newly carved wooden bird. Alara knelt down, meeting his eyes. Then you start it again, little one. By planting a seed, by sharing a smile, by helping a neighbor. You create the quality of time you wish to live in. She departed as quietly as she arrived, leaving behind the massive clock. The people of Oakhaven continued to live by the rhythm of the vignettes, no longer worried about being on time or behind time, but instead focused on being in time. In the moment of joy, in the moment of service, in the moment of peace. And that is how the small village of Oakhaven, which had resisted clocks for 200 years, became the place where the villagers understood time better than anyone else in the world, thanks to the quiet clockmaker who taught them that the most beautiful moments in life cannot be measured, only cherished. Thought balloon moral of the story. Time is not what you spend, but what you create.